Mwah. How was it? You want something to eat?
It's good.
Everyone says Carmela's just a trophy wife, but the truth about her daily grind will surprise you. She's a stay-at-home wife with 2 teenage kids and a housekeeper who drops by 3 times a week, and probably offers complimentary language services and voicemail transcription while she's at it.
It's good like this. You're amazing. You're cooking.
The only consistent task Carmela seems to own is cooking. And let's be real, boiling egg noodles, squirting on ketchup, and slicing garlic so thin it melts on contact with a lukewarm radiator isn't exactly a full-time job. The rest? Noise, distractions, the great nothingness. Life is a long series of chores to avoid thinking about mortality. You wake up, stretch, worry, spend some money, complain, make some sauce, and eventually collapse in your own arms. Alone. That's the gig. Sure, she built a spec house. One house. And it was shoddy enough to pose a credible threat to Chris's unborn child. She gets her nails done, her hair styled, the luxury car tuned. She lunches at Vesuvio with the wives, makes cutesy snacks for her husband, picks up dry cleaning, shops for things she doesn't need, and repeats. And yes, she works out. Regularly. Between the gym, tennis lessons with Adriana, and a treadmill somewhere in the basement, she's doing her part for cardiovascular health and appearances. There are also the church bake sales, the funerals, the fundraisers, the meal trains, the obligatory presents at every family gathering that needs a lasagna and a practiced smile.
So what smells so good in there?
Mom's recipe for taking Hachituri.
Cooking itself takes up more time than it seems. Not just the act, but the planning, the shopping, the managing of freezers full of baked ziti in case a Monsignor gets peckish. Every day she fills the table. And it's not just food. It's effort. It's order. It's a performance of domestic perfection.
I just got the digital video from Meadow. 3 down, 3 to go. Plus the scooter is ready, but you're gonna have to...
She's involved with her kids, coordinating schedules, driving, counseling, advising. Occasionally, she handles things for Tony's mother just to keep up appearances.
Mwah. How was it? You want something to eat?
It's good.
She keeps the house decorated, seasonally appropriate, and always ready for an unannounced priest or enforcer to walk through the door. And yes, she still finds time to browse department stores or examine granite countertop samples she'll never use.
The religious counseling, the book on Buddhism, the wonderful chats. I am very fond of you.
Beneath all this, there's a restless intelligence. She reads, far more than most, and keeps one eye on what could be. Real estate classes, art projects, trying to find a path to fulfillment that doesn't interrupt the hair appointment or Sunday mass.
Sweet's got the boosting. Which friend? Who? Furio Gunther? Is that how you say it?
She wants the perfect job. The kind that offers prestige and purpose but doesn't disrupt the schedule. A fantasy gig that pays in admiration, not hours. It's a familiar dilemma. Many people chase this ideal, something that feels productive without being difficult, lucrative without being consuming. But when your life is funded by someone else's violence, Carmela plays hers well. She keeps the family afloat, she fills the fridge, she smooths over AJ's stupidity and Meadow's defiance. She smiles at people she doesn't trust, hosts people she doesn't like, and prepares food for people who don't deserve it. Is it a full day? Yes. Is it a meaningful one? That depends. But don't mistake leisure for laziness. Carmela isn't idle, she's strategic. She's survival wrapped in pearls and a crucifix. And she may not be pulling triggers, but don't kid yourself. She knows exactly where they're kept. Stop romanticizing The Sopranos. Some scenes are so cringeworthy they're downright unbearable. Here's the cold hard truth about the show's most awkward moments. There are scenes in The Sopranos that hit hard, and then there are scenes that make you question reality. To begin.
Yeah, I wanted to show you this, yeah. It's the hat I told you about. JFK.
Fran Feldstein singing to Tony while wearing JFK's alleged hat. A surreal mix of delusion and melodrama, like a lounge act at a wake.
Seriously though, I'm you?
Then there's Artie Bucco, the walking embodiment of middle-aged desperation. The dinner with Adriana was like watching a man drown in cologne. The earring, the strained flirtation, his entire vibe. It was like a bad high school theater performance of American Gigolo.
Oh, Jean-Philippe. You're home. I called you 5 times. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Message machine broken.
His mirror pep talk before confronting Jean-Philippe, a sad De Niro impression in a cheap suit.
She's his fucking fiancée. I loved her. I fucking love her now.
Artie trying to grill Christopher about Adriana was borderline suicidal. He knew exactly what kind of man Christopher was and still thought it wise to gossip about his fiancée.
Oh, what are you gonna cry now, huh? Stand up, you frog-eating fudge guts. I will fuck.
Then, as if that wasn't enough, he tried to strong-arm his money back from Jean-Philippe like he was in Goodfellas. Every step he took was a cringe landmine. Then there's Tony, telling Melfi he could start a whole new family with Adriana. The audacity, the delusion. He's talking about a woman who can't have children, right after having her boyfriend executed. The mental gymnastics required to justify that thought is Olympic level. Tony later reassures Christopher that he didn't sleep with Adriana, then adds that Chris should be grateful because she's a 10 and Chris is whatever. A masterclass in narcissism and cruelty. Tony knew he could have seduced her, and the worst part is that she probably would have gone along with it. She was exactly the kind of vulnerable, impressionable woman he gravitated toward. Another highlight.
I called you 5 times. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Message machine broken.
I called you 5 times. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Message machine broken? A multilingual meltdown that sounded like a broken jukebox?
You know, my mother told me never to answer a question with a question.
So, your mother did teach you something.
Look, if I asked you about your life, who you talk to, who you trust.
I'd have to take the 5th.
Melfi and Tony's flirtations were their own brand of stomach-turning. Every suggestive line landed like a fistful of cold pasta. And then there's Noah. The breakup with Meadow delivered with maximum arrogance. "You're too negative. There's a cynicism in you," said while reclining in a chair, casually flipping back to his book. Noah radiated entitlement. But behind the faux woke exterior, he was just another prepackaged legacy kid who got a phone call from his father and dropped Meadow like a bad stock. Add to that, Fielder and Hunter destroying the kitchen while singing No Scrubs, audio and visual vandalism. Jackie Jr. playing mob boss, fumbling over Scrabble tiles, then behaving like a predator, a tragic tryhard. CGI Livia, a surreal, ghostly blunder of early 2000s technology. AJ trying to impress teenage girls with his Hummer and ending up face down in a nightclub bathroom, rescued by a random doctor with the diagnostic instincts of Sherlock Holmes. Nancy Sinatra crooning Big Boss Man in the final season, a baffling detour that felt like a dream sequence nobody woke up from. Orange J ranting in line at a burger joint, cartoonish in the worst way. Polly mocking Christopher's baby behind his back, then playing innocent. It somehow made one of the show's most toxic characters briefly sympathetic. Also worth noting, Tony in the beret, the detergent gift to Melfi and his desperate follow-up call. Janice forcing a eulogy circle for Livia.
I eat so much of your gnocchi, I'm gonna get a belly.
Artie flirting with Elodie. I eat so much of your gnocchi, I'm gonna get a belly. The laughter, the stare, the earring. A tragic trifecta. And finally, anyway, you can just take my hand, Big Boss Man. Meow. Most fans get this totally wrong. Noah's study sessions with Meadow's roommate were way more scandalous than you realize. So, did the Hasidic homeboy actually cheat on Meadow with her roommate? Because honestly, that flew right over my head. I'm half convinced Quasimodo predicted this drama, although, spoiler alert, not even computers can crack that mystery. Oh wait, we lead the world in computerized data collection. Big bucks in that stuff, but yeah, those cookies creep me out. Webistics? Sounds legit. Anyway, here's the deal. Everyone wonders if it happened, but the answer is as elusive as a unicorn. We won't know, can't know, and verifying we won't know, impossible. My take? He totally did. If you rewatch the episode, pay attention to Meadow and Caitlin's mood swings.
Do you have a condom?
Meadow finally has sex with Noah, and she's glowing. Carmela even notices girl's probably getting some. Then,
It's just you're really moody, you know?
I think I miss my ferrets.
You gotta stop at us, Caitlin. Maybe you need to talk to somebody.
I'm already taking those Buspar pills.
Caitlin shows up at Noah's to study, and bam, she flips from depressed to over the moon. Clearly, Noah's got some moves, or at least knows how to charm. But wait, you say, Caitlin just got happier after studying, not doing drugs. True, she doesn't start popping ecstasy until later at a party with Jackie Jr., but right after studying with Noah, her mood does a 180.
Forget about studying.
Oh, like you were studying at 2 a.m.
Noah and I took her out for her birthday. She's all depressed to begin with, and then she starts having conniptions over this homeless lady in the street.
Meadow even tries to dodge her because Caitlin's gone all dark and needy, likely because Noah started ghosting her. Now, some say there's zero evidence. No dirty dialogue, no suggestive camera shots. In fact, Noah's dad even gets a restraining order against Caitlin after Noah tanks a grade, blaming all that wasted studying with her.
So, I give her my notes from last year. I'm talking primo notes. I got an A. But even that's the problem.
Plus, Noah whines about her not appreciating his primo notes. Not exactly romance goals.
She doesn't understand my writing. What does this word mean? Blah, blah, blah.
That sudden disdain for Caitlin kills Meadow's crush, since Noah's patience vanished. Honestly, it's way more believable Jackie Jr. hooked up with Caitlin than Noah. But here's the kicker.
Did I tell you my father's filing a restraining order against her?
What?
You obviously don't know my father.
The restraining order screams something happened. Most restraining orders come from tangled sexual relationships, exes who can't let go. Noah tells Meadow it's all about grades, but that's probably just cover. The episode is dripping with hints, body language, and vibes.
Noah's great, but he can be odd, you know? It's like, 1 minute he's all affectionate, and then the next he's like a totally different person.
Noah's attitude? Snarky, elitist, distant with Meadow, cold with Caitlin. And yes, his dad probably freaked out after Tony's racist threats and shut down the relationship. Dad's a protective type, especially if he thinks Meadow's family history is a liability. Noah's out here thinking he can punch Tony in the face. Real smart move, kid. Did Noah cheat? Likely. Did he get freaked out by Caitlin's clinginess and called Daddy for a restraining order? Almost certainly.
Called Noah things that are so disgusting and ugly, I can't even repeat it.
Did he dump Meadow because of all this drama and Tony calling him a charcoal briquette? Yep. Did Caitlin vanish off the map like some mysterious ghost? Yep. Writers probably axed her storyline to keep the mob drama front and center. Bottom line, Meadow's got a knack for picking losers. From Hasidic homeboys to Jackie Jr. and Finn. The men in her life are more in the can than upstanding. Noah's probably whistling through Caitlin's wheat field, but who knows? The show's built on ambiguity and shade anyway. And hey, whatever happened with Phil and Richie in prison? Let's just say the rumor mill keeps spinning. But that's a whole other can of worms. Everyone talks about Christopher's death, but here's the real, most heartbreaking loss no one's admitting. What was the most painful death in The Sopranos? For me, it was definitely Christopher Moltisanti.
They're slapping me in the face, and they're hiding behind Tony.
Well, Tony always loved Christopher like a son.
The guy was finally starting to build a real connection with Tony, like a son getting some fatherly attention, and then that scene just crushed everything. Then there's Silvio, a solid character from the start, but honestly, Bobby's death hit the hardest. He was just born into the life, but was a gentle guy who loved his wife, adored his kids, and just wanted to play with trains in his basement. If he'd been born anywhere else, he might have lived a normal life. Bobby never snitched, never sold anyone out, and did what he was told, even if he complained. He was a shy, decent guy stuck in the wrong place.
He's just still very much in mourning. We're stuck at platonic. Well, Karen was a wonderful person.
That scene where he mourns his wife is heartbreaking. All he wanted was a simple life, take care of his family and enjoy his hobby. But because he was such a good guy, he got promoted quickly and ended up a target. He probably would have been happier just babysitting Junior. Speaking of Junior, Bobby was content being his driver, annoying old man and all. But then, Janice pushed Bobby to push Tony for a raise and a street crew spot. Bobby was basically saying, "I'm tired of fetching stool softeners for Uncle Junior." Sure, Janice had money motives, but Bobby was done sitting in the background. To the victor go the spoils. A giant, gentle guy who you actually root for. I was glad when Bobby threw down with Tony, although cheap shots still count.
There's no way she'll wear a wire, but you think she might be able to get Multisandy to flip.
Why not?
Problems with Tony. Christopher hates him, apparently.
Now, Chris and Tony? Their relationship wasn't getting better. Remember Chris murdered a guy just because he didn't want to listen to mafia complaints? Tony laughing about his niece being a stripper? Their bond only worsened.
Sean is fucking dead. Christopher killed him.
So what the fuck are you doing here?
We did it for you as a favor.
Chris killing JT Dolan wasn't petty, it was him choosing Tony over flipping to the feds, just like with Adriana. One big theme is that people don't change. Chris's loyalty, however flawed, always went to Tony. Adriana's death was painfully memorable.
Where's Tracy?
She's busy.
Put your shoes on.
Oh.
I've been sick, Sil.
Oh, yeah? I called your house. That's the guy that you got a little kid at home.
Silvio doing dirty work reminds you he's just as ruthless as the rest. Maybe worse because he's the quiet one. People blame Ralph for killing Tracy, but Silvio slamming her onto a car hood and claiming ownership gets overlooked. Silvio's the true consigliere, giving Tony advice like it's business. Ralph killed Tracy over, well, she was a hoo-ah who hit him. Not exactly noble. Silvio's the truest mobster. Everyone else lets emotions mess them up. Evil, not just trashy. From their perspective, snitching means prison, survival of the fittest. The car ride with Silvio and Chris, you could feel the dread leaking out. No, please, oh no. That was gut-wrenching. Cosette, poor kid, crawling under Chris for warmth. He was no longer the man he wanted to be. Ralphie? One klutz falling over changed everything. If only he'd been born rich instead of just handsome. Should have taken the blue pill and become an actor. Tracy's death was brutal. A young woman abused and humiliated, then mercilessly killed by a sociopath.
I took Danny to the doctor.
You're a great girl. Don't take this the wrong way.
Tony probably saw his own daughter in her, and that was the turning point for Ralph's fate. Billy Leotardo? Just a kid. Whatever happened there is still a mystery. Carmine? That scene where he tries to bring something up and everyone's like, "Why would you say that?" is darkly funny. Silvio's coma turned into the bizarre Norwegian spin-off Lillehammer, a mobster in Norway. Seriously. As a waiter, it's easy to get Polly's frustration over bad tippers. That's my money! And only the gangsters get chased out because they look intimidating. Tony B? Underrated and tragic. Better than what New York was going to do, but brutal watching him taken out by his own cousin. Phil Leotardo, crushed under wheels at 67, basically a kid himself when it happened.
Gismonte with a G.
The kid who died, right?
Well, him and his friend Matthew Bevilacqua were around with Multisanti.
Sean Gismonti? Poor kid couldn't catch a break. Bowel problems, ripped off, Tony trying to run him over. Even in death, Matt blamed him. The universe was not kind. What if I told you Tony beating up Georgie isn't just about anger, it's pure hypocrisy? Why does Tony always beat up the bouncer/bartender at the Bada Bing? By season 5, episode 10, he's whooped this guy's ass at least once or twice every season. Why? Because he can. Plain and simple. The guy practically radiates NPC energy, clueless, slow, and sharp as a butt plug. Tony's carrying the full weight of being boss, while this guy's biggest job is not wasting ice or screwing up a phone call. And yet, he still manages to mess those up. The guy's IQ might as well be a cheeseburger. It's not really his fault, but he's the perfect target for Tony's rage. Tony envies his ignorance and carefree attitude. This guy lives without worry, no responsibilities crushing him, and Tony can't stand it. Plus, Georgie's vulnerable enough to get hit without consequences. Most of Tony's beatings aren't really about Georgie. They're about Tony needing to vent.
Calling these new phone systems, whole conference. Sometimes I get confused.
How complicated is it? You answer the phone, you take the fucking message. The voicemail only comes on if you let the phone ring.
Take the infamous ice incident. Georgie can't conserve ice or hold a phone call properly. Tony flips out because Georgie's cluelessness hits a nerve. Even Syl tells Tony to chill because he can sense Tony's mood spiraling. And Georgie's no saint. He exploits women. Remember when Georgie got $50 and a blowjob? It's funny and sad. You feel a little sorry, then recall he's completely oblivious and can't read the room.
Anyway, $4 a pound.
Who brought this in here? Georgie. It's wacky, huh?
Meanwhile, Tony and Syl are doing business with those women too. Georgie's dumb, oblivious, and happy with his little rewards, while Tony's a stressed-out bully taking out his frustration on the one guy who won't fight back because Georgie isn't made.
Thing is, Tom, he's quitting the Bing. And he told Silly goes, and I'd appreciate it if Tony don't come visit me. You don't want to see it.
Tony can't punch made guys without breaking mafia rules, so Georgie's the perfect punching bag. Every time Tony explodes over the phone, the ice, or some rant about 9/11, it's really about bigger issues weighing on him. Georgie just happens to be around, carefree and clueless, making him the ideal target. Bottom line, Tony's a bully, insecure, angry, and frustrated. Georgie's his stress ball. That's why Tony beats up the bartender at the Bing like clockwork. Because he can. Because Georgie's dumb, vulnerable, and oblivious to the chaos around him. Because Tony hates his burdens while Georgie lives for today. Ice be damned. That's all for today on Sopranos Breakdown. If you enjoyed the ride, help us hit 1,000 likes, leave a comment, subscribe, and stay sharp out there. Loyalty means everything.